know those picture-perfect American towns they put on postcards? The ones with the white picket fences, the golden retrievers, the main street bakeries that smell like apple pie and capitalism. Yeah, this is not about those towns. This is about the other side of the map. The places where your phone suddenly thinks you're in the middle of the ocean, where your car's GPS confidently tells you to drive straight into a cliff, where compasses don't just point the wrong way, they spin like they're having an existential crisis. I'm talking about America's magnetic anomaly zones, the places where the Earth itself seems to be playing tricks on every piece of technology you own. And look, I get it. You're sitting there thinking, come on, that's just some geological quirk, nothing creepy about it. And sure, maybe you're right. But here's the thing, when your radio starts picking up voices in a language that doesn't exist, when your brand new iPhone dies at full battery, when locals casually mention that the field has its own moods, you start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's something more going on beneath the surface. So grab your backup compass. Actually, don't bother, it won't help. And let's count down the 10 most magnetically disturbed towns in America, where electronics glitch, compasses fail, and the laws of physics seem to be more like suggestions. Ferrum Hollow, Pennsylvania, where your phone goes to die. Nestled in the Allegheny foothills, about 40 miles northeast of Pittsburgh, Ferrum Hollow looks exactly like what you'd expect from small-town Pennsylvania. Old brick buildings, a diner that's been there since 1954, churches on every other corner, population 847, give or take a few. From the outside, it's the kind of place where nothing ever happens. But pull out your smartphone the moment you cross the town line, and you'll notice something's off. Your signal doesn't just weaken, it vanishes. Completely, like someone flipped a switch. The locals have known about this for decades. They call it the dead zone, and honestly, they've embraced it. The town's only cafe has a sign that reads, "No Wi-Fi." Talk to each other like it's 1985. Charming, right? But here's where it gets weird. It's not just cell signals. Compasses in Ferrum Hollow consistently point about 23 degrees off true north. Digital watches run slow, not fast, always slow. And there are at least 17 documented cases since 1998 of car electronics completely resetting when driving through. By the numbers, 847 residents, 0 cell towers that work properly. Average compass deviation, 23.4 degrees east. Reported electronic malfunctions per year, approximately 200, though locals have stopped reporting most of them. What it's like to live here, imagine never being able to use Google Maps. Residents here give directions the old-fashioned way: landmarks, mile markers, and a lot of turn left where the Johnson barn used to be. One Reddit user who grew up there wrote, "My mom had a drawer full of dead watches. She'd buy a new one every few months. We never questioned it." The geological explanation? Ferrum Hollow sits on a massive deposit of magnetite, an iron oxide mineral that creates localized magnetic disturbances. At least, that's what the Penn State Geology Department concluded in a 2007 study. But that study didn't explain why the anomalies seem to fluctuate stronger at night, weaker during thunderstorms. Almost like something's breathing down there. Okay, but explain this. In 2019, a TikTok user posted a video from Ferrum Hollow showing her phone's compass app. The needle wasn't just off, it was spinning continuously for 11 seconds before settling on a direction that, according to her, pointed straight at the town cemetery. Coincidence? Probably, but the video has 3.2 million views, and the comments are exactly as unhinged as you'd expect. And if you think a glitchy phone is unsettling, wait until you hear about a place where the glitches fight back. Lodestone Gap, Nevada, the town that erases your recordings. About 90 miles north of Las Vegas, past the tourist traps and the alien-themed gift shops, there's a stretch of desert that most people drive right through without noticing. But if you take the unmarked turnoff at mile marker 47, you'll find Lodestone Gap, population 312. The town exists because of a silver mine that operated from 1892 to 1931. When the silver ran out, most people left. But some stayed. And over the decades, they noticed something the miners never talked about. Electronics don't just malfunction here, they lose data. I'm not talking about slow downloads, I'm talking about complete memory wipes. Cameras, phones, laptops, USB drives, anything with digital storage has a roughly 1 in 5 chance of experiencing total data loss within Lodestone Gap's town limits. By the numbers, 312 residents. 0 functioning ATMs the bank gave up in 2011. Average magnetic field strength, 73 microteslas, which is about 45% higher than the global average. Documented data loss incidents since 2005, over 400. What it's like to live here. One Yelp review, yes. Someone actually reviewed this town on Yelp reads, "Stopped for gas." When I got back in my car, every photo from my Vegas trip was gone. My phone was fully charged. I literally watched the gallery empty in real time. 1 star. The owner of the gas station replied, "We have a sign. Did you not see the sign?" They do in fact have a sign. At the entrance to town, there's a faded billboard that reads, "Lodestone Gap, back up your files before entering." It's not a joke, it's practical advice. The scientific explanation involves something called magnetic pulse interference, theoretically caused by unusual mineral deposits that create sporadic electromagnetic bursts. But no university has been able to consistently replicate the data loss phenomenon in controlled conditions. The field is there, the erasures are real, the connection remains unproven. Picture this. You're a photographer. You've just spent 3 days in the Nevada desert capturing what you're sure is career-defining work. You stop in Lodestone Gap for coffee. You come back to your car. Your memory cards are blank. All of them. Your camera's internal storage? Also blank. And when you check your backup hard drive in the trunk, somehow, also blank. This has happened multiple times. There's a photography forum thread with over 200 replies from people sharing their Lodestone Gap horror stories. The consensus? Just don't stop there, ever. But Lodestone Gap only erases your memories. The next town on our list might just give you new ones you didn't ask for. Compass Bend, Arizona, where north is just a suggestion. Southern Arizona, about 60 miles from the Mexican border, there's a valley the locals call the Bend. The actual town is Compass Bend, population 1,203, and it's been messing with navigation equipment since before navigation equipment existed. The first recorded mention of the anomaly comes from an 1,847 Army survey expedition. The surveyor noted in his journal that his compass behaved as if possessed by some contrary spirit, and that his horses refused to proceed further into the valley without considerable persuasion. They eventually mapped the area, but not before losing 3 days to equipment failures and, according to one account, a peculiar headache that afflicted every man in the party. Today, Compass Bend is a quiet retirement community, golf courses, RV parks, snowbirds from Minnesota escaping the winter. But ask any long-term resident about the magnetic field and they'll shrug like you just asked about the weather. By the numbers, 1,203 permanent residents, 4,500 plus seasonal residents. Compass deviation range, anywhere from 15 to 67 degrees depending on location and, weirdly, time of day. GPS accuracy within town, plus or minus 300 meters on a good day. What it's like to live here. You learn to navigate by feel, one resident told a local news station in 2018. My GPS says I'm in my neighbor's pool right now. I'm in my living room. The mail carriers have it worst. They've given up on any digital routing and use hand-drawn maps that get updated whenever someone moves. The geological explanation points to a large underground iron ore deposit combined with unusual volcanic rock formations that create a magnetic shadow. But that doesn't explain the headaches that visitors frequently report, or why animals' dogs especially behave strangely near the center of town. Okay, but explain this. There's a Google Maps review of the Compass Bend Community Center that simply reads, "I parked my car at 2 p.m. According to my dash cam, I got back at 2 p.m., but I was inside for 2 hours. I have receipts to prove it. My dash cam just skipped those 2 hours. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't understand." The review has 847 helpful votes. The author has never posted again. Want to hear about a place where the compass problems are the least weird thing going on? Let's head north. Polarity Springs, Wyoming. The town that reverses everything. High in the Wind River Range, at an elevation of 8,400 feet, there's a spring that early settlers believed had healing properties. They built a town around it. They called it Polarity Springs, and for about 50 years, it was a moderately successful spa destination for wealthy Easterners seeking mountain air and mineral water. Then came the 1920s, and with it, radio equipment. And that's when people started noticing that Polarity Springs had a problem. Compasses here don't just deviate, they reverse. North points south, east points west. It's not a gradual shift, it's a complete 180-degree flip that happens the moment you enter a roughly 2-mile radius around the town center. By the numbers, 156 residents. Elevation, 8,412 feet. Magnetic field polarity, completely reversed within a 2.3-mile radius. The only town in the continental United States where this phenomenon has been consistently documented. What it's like to live here. You get used to it, a third-generation resident told a visiting journalist in 2021. My grandfather always said North was overrated anyway. The town's single souvenir shop sells reverse compasses, normal compasses with the N and S labels swapped. They're apparently popular with tourists who find the whole thing hilarious. But here's the thing that isn't hilarious. Batteries drain faster here. Not electronics, just batteries. A set of AA batteries that should last weeks in a flashlight dies in days. Car batteries need replacing twice as often as normal. And solar panels? They work, but at about 70% efficiency, even on clear days. The explanation? Scientists from the University of Wyoming spent 6 months in Polarity Springs in 2019 and concluded that the reverse magnetic field is caused by an unusually configured subterranean magnetic ore body. But they couldn't explain the battery drainage. In their published paper, they simply noted it as an unexplained secondary phenomenon requiring further study. That study has never happened. Picture this. You're hiking in the backcountry near Polarity Springs. Your compass tells you north is ahead. You walk north, or what you think is north, for 3 hours. You check your GPS. You're now south of where you started. You've been walking in the exact opposite direction the entire time. And your phone? It's at 12% battery. It was at 80% when you left. This is why search and rescue in the Wind River Range near Polarity Springs has a rule. No compasses, no GPS, no exceptions. They use line-of-sight navigation only, and they always carry extra batteries. If reversed compasses sound strange, wait until you hear about a town where electronics have opinions. Voltaire Valley, Colorado, where your devices have mood swings. Western Colorado, about an hour from Creek Junction, there's a narrow valley that didn't appear on any map until 1967. Not because it was hidden, but because surveyors kept making mistakes. Every time they tried to chart it, their equipment gave different readings. Eventually, the USGS just approximated based on aerial photography and called it a day. Voltaire Valley, population 89. And before you ask, no, it has nothing to do with the French philosopher. It's named after the Voltaire Mining Company, which attempted to extract copper here in the 1880s and went bankrupt within 18 months due to, according to historical records, unexplainable equipment failures and worker unwillingness to remain overnight. What makes Voltaire Valley special isn't just that electronics malfunction, it's how they malfunction. Devices here exhibit behavior that can only be described as moody by the numbers. 89 residents, average household income, below national average. Most residents are off-grid by necessity. Documented instances of anomalous device behavior since 2010, over 600. Scientific expeditions that have tried and failed to explain it. 4. What it's like to live here. The residents of Voltaire Valley have given up on modern technology almost entirely. No smart TVs, no Wi-Fi routers. Most homes have one landline phone that works about 60% of the time. A Reddit thread from a former resident describes it this way: my radio would turn itself on at 3 a.m. playing static. My flashlight would work perfectly when I was calm, but die the second I got stressed. My car would start on the first try if I asked nicely, and I mean literally said please, but would refuse if I was in a hurry. The scientific explanation is non-existent. A team from Colorado State University visited in 2017 and left after 3 days when, according to one researcher's since deleted Twitter thread, our recording equipment kept capturing audio we didn't record. They published no findings. Okay, but explain this. There's a YouTube video from 2020, heavily compressed because the original file corrupted in ways that shouldn't be possible. According to the uploader, showing a smartphone in Voltaire Valley. The phone is sitting on a table, no one is touching it, and the flashlight turns on, then off, then on. Then, according to the timestamp, the phone's camera app opens by itself and takes 6 photos of the ceiling before the screen goes black. The uploader swears they weren't touching it. The phone, a 2-year-old iPhone, worked perfectly fine before and after leaving the valley. But those 6 photos of the ceiling, they're still on the phone. And in one of them, if you zoom in, there appears to be a shadow that shouldn't exist. The light source doesn't match. Probably a glitch. Probably. Ready for a town where the glitches form patterns? Let's continue. Iron Creek Junction, Montana. The The signal that shouldn't exist. Northern Montana, near the Canadian border, there's a crossroads that has existed since before Montana was a state. Iron Creek Junction. 3 gravel roads meeting at a single point. No town, really. Just a gas station, a general store, and 11 houses occupied by people who very much want to be left alone. Population, 27, and they all hear it. The signal. A low-frequency radio emission that every electronic device in Iron Creek Junction picks up. It's not on any known frequency. It doesn't match any registered broadcast. And it's been there, continuously 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, since at least 1954 when the first ham radio operator in the area documented it. By the numbers, 27 residents. 0 official businesses. The gas station is technically a private sale operation. The signal frequency, approximately 37.2 kilohertz, which is well below the range of normal AM/FM radio. Signal origin unknown. Estimated broadcast distance from source, less than 500 meters, but no source has ever been located. What it's like to live here. You stop noticing after a while. One resident told an amateur radio forum in 2019, it's like living near train tracks. Eventually, it's just background noise. The signal sounds, according to multiple recordings, like a series of pulses. 3 short, 1 long, repeated infinitely with exactly 4.7 seconds between each cycle. Some people have tried to decode it. Amateur cryptographers, conspiracy theorists, even a former NSA analyst who visited in 2015 and posted his findings on a now deleted blog. No one has found a pattern beyond the basic pulse structure. It's either meaningless or it's in a code no one has cracked. The geology of Iron Creek Junction includes significant iron deposits, hence the name, which could theoretically create a resonance effect, but that doesn't explain where the signal is coming from. Ground penetrating radar found nothing. Metal detectors found nothing. The signal just exists. Picture this. It's 2 a.m. You're staying in Iron Creek Junction because your car broke down. You can't sleep. You turn on your radio hoping to find a station, any station. Instead, you hear it. 3 short pulses, 1 long, silence. 3 short, 1 long, silence. And suddenly you realize you've been listening to it for 20 minutes without realizing. And your phone, which was off, is now recording. Your phone is recording. You didn't turn on the recording app, but Iron Creek Junction is just the appetizer. And sometimes, late at night, you hear static, just for a second, and you could swear, just before it fades, that you hear your own voice. So there you have it. 10 towns where the magnetic field isn't quite right, where compasses spin, electronics die, and the line between explainable and unexplainable gets very, very thin. Are these places dangerous? Maybe. Are they creepy? Absolutely. Are they real? Well, that depends on how much you trust your instruments. If this video gave you chills, or made you check your compass for the first time in years, hit that subscribe button. We cover the strange, the forgotten, and the places on the map that maybe shouldn't be there at all. And next time your phone glitches for no reason, your GPS sends you the wrong way, or your compass points somewhere it shouldn't, maybe don't ignore it. Maybe ask yourself, where exactly am I standing? See you in the next one.